business. Now, Melissa, actually, I got lighting issues here, but we won't fix those right now. Melissa says, hey, Ty Cradle, I need credit to save my business ASAP. This is great information. Thanks for tuning in. Melissa, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today, is how any business, even if you don't have collateral, even if you don't have any cash flow, because you're just starting, even if you don't have good personal credit, how you can actually still get business credit and use it to grow your business. So don't forget, right now, we are in the midst of a live training event. It's taking place all this week, March 21st through the 25th. We started at 1 o'clock Eastern. We go to about 3 and 3:30. And this is the best and biggest training the industry has ever seen for business loan brokers. It's basically a soup to nuts, everything you need to know to launch and succeed as a business loan broker. So if you have an interest in launching as a business loan broker, if you already are one, you want to be able to be more successful faster. And if you want to get into the industry, well, then either way, go to businessloanbrokerchallenge.com. It's 100% free to be part of the challenge. And we literally have thousands of people participating in the event this week. I think you're going to love it. So if you have any interest in being a business loan broker, if you want to get better, then go to businessloanbrokerchallenge.com. So starting a business, a lot of benefits, right? As a matter of fact, happens now more than ever. The reality is when the economy changes, especially when we get into a recession, then what typically happens is we see business startups skyrocket. We call this hockey stick growth, right? Where you're kind of growing like this and all of a sudden it's like, whoop, this is what happens when the economy changes. And let's be honest, as I'm filming this right now today, we've got a war brewing overseas. We've got record high oil prices or gas prices here in the United States. We've got tariffs coming out on other countries, which means that we're going to have an even higher increase in the cost of goods that we're trying to buy. We've already seen record high inflation. That's the highest we've seen in like 40 plus years. And the Fed right now is discussing a 0.5% rate hike and at least 5 to 7 more rate hikes in the next year and a half. This compounded with a housing market that's a pretty high, let's just say, really comes down to meaning this. We're really pushing close to a recession. And when we push close to a recession, the amount of people that start businesses just skyrockets. It's just the way that it is. Now, again, if you're in an industry like business loan broker, or if you want to be, well, then this is a great time for you and you're in the right place at the right time. But if you're thinking about starting a business, keep in mind, a lot of people are thinking the exact same thing. People typically do when the economy shifts like this. Okay, but the question is, can you get capital? How do you get capital? And this is exactly what we're going to talk about today, is using business credit to do this. Because look, the bottom line is the faster you start this, the faster you can get your hands on the money that you need to grow your business. Now, unfortunately, entrepreneurs sometimes make errors in building business credit. Most do. When we help new clients, we kind of do an intake process and find that over 90% of them have tried, and that have tried are basically doing it wrong. And that's here what we're trying to fix. Our mission is to help you avoid the errors and waste time. Look, our clients build business credit and get to the end of the process in about 6 months, 6 to 9 months. Normal people that are not using our process and they're not our clients take 3 years. So why can our clients get results in 6 months versus 3 years? Well, it's about avoiding errors. What we found is the delay in business credit building is caused by not knowing the accounts to apply for, not knowing the order of accounts to apply for, not setting up your fundability the right way. The bottom line is that you go to apply and you get denied. And then what happens? Actually, I realize I'm not sharing my screen here, so let me bring in my screen. Can everybody hear me now? I think we can, right? So I think my good audio is good. All right, so I think I fixed everything that needs to be fixed. My apology for the delay there. Okay, my apology for the issue. I actually closed out my browser accidentally, and in doing so, that shut down my picture and my mic. But I think everything should be good. So if you don't mind, go ahead and type in if you can hear me. Yes, okay, we can hear. Okay, my apologies. When you're live, this stuff happens. It happens from stage when I speak to big groups, and sometimes it happens on the live. I just hit the wrong button, and I caused a catastrophe, so my apology. Okay, so look, when we're going to build business credit for a startup, we got to start here with fundability, and here's why. More than half of applications for credit financing are not denied because of credit, income, the stuff you think. They're denied because you just don't meet the basic criteria the lender and credit issuers have. You and I think we're applying for a credit card, we're applying for a loan, and the lender or credit card issuer is looking at our application to see if we should qualify. But what we don't realize is the first thing they're looking at is whether or not the application is fraudulent. So lenders and credit issuers are plagued by so much fraud that their computers have all these like internal checks to make sure that the applicant they're dealing with is like a legitimate business. And if you get caught in that trap, which most people do, you get denied. And here's what's crazy. As I mentioned, more than half of people that get denied for a credit card or for a loan, they get denied because of this stuff. So to clarify, they did qualify. They probably could have gotten approved, but they messed up this step one phase. And as a result, they get denied when they probably could have got approved if they just would have fixed this. We see this all the time. So for example, one of my clients came in and got denied for an American Express card, denied for a loan. What we found was that the application information she was submitting didn't match Secretary of State, which, by the way, 90% of business owners we talk to have the same problem. 90. So you're probably in that 90% statistically. Then we fixed it. We updated Secretary of State. It matched the application. We sent her back to apply. She got a no limit American Express. Denied altogether to approved for no limit. And the loan went from denial to approval because she fixed one thing. That's what fundability is. Fundability is like looking at the computers that the lenders and credit issuers have, decoding their algorithm, and then saying, okay, this is exactly what they want to see. And then we build our business and structure it to meet the criteria they want to see. We go past this and we radically increase our approvals. This is also the key to getting approved for financing as well, because again, lenders and credit issuers are both using the same system to determine if we can get approved. And again, you're just coming in, tell me where you're coming in from. Always love saying hello. Okay, so for example, we want to stay away from high-risk industries. Say we need to know what our NAICS code is. We need to call our business something that's different than what puts us in a high-risk industry, okay? So for example, Credit Suite, we could be a software company, we could be financial services, or we could be education. So we choose to make ourselves software because we could be any of the three, because software is not high risk. And that's why, like 2 weeks ago, we just got a $300,000 loan approved, even though our name is Credit Suite, right? A lot of people in the credit industry can't even get financing. We're out getting SBA loans for, $250,000, $500,000 plus, because we understand that we can choose our NAICS and we choose an industry that's not high risk. So you got to figure this out. You want to avoid high risk names. Now, how do you do this? Well, it's simple. Just go here. If we go to Google, the first two things we want to do is we want to go to NAICS.com. If we go to find your NAICS code, we can find it right here. Here's why this is important. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, what is the NAICS for transportation? Look at this. If I click on transportation, you'll see that there's 100 different options to choose from. This is why you don't want lenders and credit issuers to choose for you. You need to say, hey, I am, 4921 Courier and Express Delivery Services, or, I'm a charter bus industry company, NAICS 4855. Are you high risk? Well, let's just Google and find out. NAICS, okay, high risk. And if we do a quick Google search, we can find right here a list of high-risk industries. You'll even find a blog post from us that breaks all of this down for you and explains. Okay, so the bottom line is we want to avoid these high-risk industries. We want to avoid names that indicate that we're in a high-risk industry. We want to have an NAICS code that is reflective of the industry we're in, not another one. And here's the reason for that, because we see a lot of credit reports with bad credit scores. And the reason for the credit score is that the bureau doesn't like the industry. So if you have the wrong industry, or if you're in a high risk industry, the credit bureaus don't like you and score you lower. Credit issuers may put you either into a restricted, which means it's harder to get approved, or a prohibited, where they won't even help you. So we got to avoid lender and credit issuer being put in a prohibited or restricted bucket where it's harder or impossible to get approved. We want to avoid credit bureaus treating us like we're high risk as well. The IRS treating. We want to avoid all the negatives of being high risk, and that's why we've got to do these searches. We've got to set up an address. We've got to know that if we have a pecking order of addresses, the very top, what lenders and credit issuers want is that we're in a retail location, a real physical office. So the second option is we can go and use a virtual address. A virtual address makes it look like, or a virtual office makes it look like we're in a high-rise building in Tampa, Florida, but really we're just renting an office from Regis, Da Vinci, Alliance, one of these kind of sources. The third option, if we have to go to it, is a home address. And a home address, the minute we get to this on the pecking order, remember, retail location, real physical office, virtual office, or home ad is the third option. But the problem with home addresses is some credit issuers and lenders just will not approve you. They just won't. And you don't know going in which ones will and won't. So for example, in my world, Walmart won't approve you for a corporate credit card if you use a home address. They just won't. But they will, but Amazon will. So that's the problem. A home address, some sources will approve you, some won't. And you got to avoid at all costs PO boxes and UPS addresses. These are just automatically going to get you denied in most places. Now, if you don't know why, think about it logically. You're applying for a credit card, you're applying for a loan, and you're telling the lender or credit issuer, hey, I'm not even going to tell you where my business really operates out of. I'm going to give you a mailbox address where I get my mail, and I'm not even going to tell you where I operate out of, but hey, by the way, give me 50 grand. That's how it looks to a lender or credit issuer. So we got to choose one of these other address options to be able to be more fundable. And thanks for coming in from Lake Elsinore, California. Fort Myers, Florida is in the house as well. Thanks for coming in, everybody. Trying to get control back on my mouse so I can scroll back over here and say hello, but I'm in the wrong place. I'm not even scrolling over. Okay, so let's just go through the chat. Houston, Texas, Atlanta, Kissimmee, North Carolina is back in the house. Everybody, thanks for coming in. Hello from Memphis as well. Okay, so the next thing we got to do is we've got to make sure that our website is set up. It's a professional website, and that we own the domain. We got to stay away from WEX types websites where we don't own the domain. We got to own our own domain. So make sure that you go to GoDaddy or a place like that, set up website hosting, get an actual domain set up, make sure all your information on your website, social media pages, Secretary of State, that all of that stuff is congruent. Make sure your website reflects what you actually do. Get your EIN number from the IRS, set up the right entity. Okay, corporation, LLC are the best types to actually set up. Okay, and if I'm looking at the importance, I got to set up my okay, let me start this way. Since we're talking about startup stuff, let me give you the right order to do this. First step, think about the name you want for your business. Second step, make sure that URL is available. Okay, I had a business called Elite Credit. I didn't own elitecredit.com. It was a big problem. As my company got bigger, people kept going to the wrong website to try to find me. I've learned the hard way. Don't make the mistake. Make sure that before you set up a company name, you own the actual domain. So now I come in and I want to set up a company, and the company is ABC Water. Okay. So ABC Water, I got it. The domain's available. Boom. I get abcwater.com. Okay. I also, before I get it, well, I could do this right now. I'm going to look at the Secretary of State as well. I'm going to go do a quick search online to see if that company is available. Here, I'll show you. You can have a company set up in every state, even if it's set up in another with the same name. That's why the domain's important. ABC Water, our example company here, could exist in Tennessee, California, Wyoming, and I can still set it up here. I can set a company can have the same name in every state, but what's important is that you own the URL. So what I always do here is I come in and I say, okay, actually, this is the real order that I go through. I go to Secretary of State here. I'm on Florida's sunbiz.org. As you can see, I'm really navigating simply because it's easy to do. Okay, search records. Bam. What do I want to do? I want to search by name. Okay, I want to come in here and see if ABC Water is available. ABC Water Cooler. I do not have anybody that owns ABC Water. I can own ABC Water LLC or Inc. in Florida. Nobody else has ABC Water. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to GoDaddy. You can go wherever you want. I like GoDaddy. I'm going to see, where did you go? I don't want to log in GoDaddy. That wasn't very nice of you. I just want to find the perfect domain as you recommended that I do. ABC Water. Okay. Cannot spell today. ABC Water. Okay. So now we're going to come and do a check. And I say, oh gosh, okay. I do not want this company. I don't want to spend $5,000 for a domain. So let me see if I do ABCD Water. Okay, let me just see if that might be more practical here. Okay, that's cheap, ABCD Water. So now I'm going to come in, I'm going to go back and just do a real quick ABCD Water check. But this is realistic. I mean, this is how you really start a business. I just made up a name and I thought, okay, the name's available. I'm going to go get the domain. Oh, it's $5,000. I don't want to spend $5,000. I like 1 cent. That's way more affordable than $5,000. So now I changed it. I found the domain that's available that I could buy. I find a domain that's available online. Nobody's got it here in my state. So now I buy the domain. Okay. Now I have the domain and I know that it's available in my state. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an address. And there's a couple places you can actually do this. Or excuse me, I'm going to set up a phone number. Now you can go to Freedom Voice. Okay. For Freedom Voice is a good one to go to. So I go to Freedom Voice here. Okay. Freedom Voice. So I can go to Freedom Voice here and set up a phone number pretty cheap. I can go to Ring Central. There's a bunch of these kind of places I can go to. Okay, I also want to set up. A virtual office because I'm not going to be in a retail location. So I'm going to go here to Alliance Virtual Offices. You can also go to creditsuite.com/virtual credits. Man, what is my problem today, Colin? Virtual, VIRTUAL, and it'll give you a discounted rate here on Alliance. If you fill this out, you can even get a discount there. So now I come in and I have my address, I have my phone number, I have my domain. Now what I do is I come in here and I actually set up my new company. And the reason I did it in that order is because when I set up my new company now, what's going to happen is, and this is what's going to happen is they're going to ask for all that information, right? They're going to ask for my name, address, my phone number. I'm in my Secretary of State. If you don't know your Secretary of State, just come and do it. Secretary of, I know I spelled it right, Florida. And then it's going to tell me, it's going to say, hey, do you want that? It's sunbiz.org right here. And I go to sunbiz.org. I'm like, yeah, I want to go to sunbiz.org. And then it's like, okay, I want to set up my name. So now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go back to Sunbiz, the main website, because I don't know where I am here. It's some crazy place. Start a business. Look, start a business. What do I want to do? I want to come in and I want to be a profit corporation. Okay, I want to file the correct articles of incorporation. Yep, I read this, whatever that just said. I don't know, but I read it. And then I start the process. It's different with every Secretary of State. But the reason I'm doing this now is that now what's going to happen is I have the address. Look at this. So I have the name. It's ABCD Water, right? I have my address now. It's asking me my address. I already set that up with Alliance. Okay, here's my mailing address as well. So we can see that now the information that I need to enter, I already have. I have my phone number. I have my address here. So I have everything that I need to be able to set this up. I have my email set up. I set up my domain. So info@abcdwater.com is my email address now. So I have that email address set up that I'm able to put here as well. Okay, it's going to probably ask for phone numbers somewhere in here as well. And I have the phone number. And then this is asking for officer information. So what happens is now I can set up my Secretary of State records. And by the way, I'm always going to go for like a certified copy. I'm always going to pay the extras to get it right away. And all I'd have to do is say, hey, I want to set it up today. Here's my name. Here's my shares. Let's say 1,000 shares. I have my address. Here it is. Hey, my mailing address is the same. Hey, my information's here. And must be different from any name. Business to serve as RA. Okay, so this is registered agent. If that's you, then you can put your information right there. If you have a registered agent, you can put that information. Your registered agent, your home address, that's fine. You're the registered agent. Okay, and then again, the address again, corporate purpose. Okay, what are you doing here? So what you're doing here, this is where you want to enter the NAICS, right? So this is where I want to know what I'm doing. I don't want them to be any question. I want to come in and I want to say, hey, I am in rail transportation 4821. So literally, whenever I fill out an application here, I'm literally going to say this. I'm going to say I'm in rail transportation, NAICS 4821. So there's no question now. They know exactly the industry that I'm in. Whenever I open my bank account, whenever I fill out an application with credit or financing, I want to do this. I got to tell them my exact NAICS. So now, and then correspondent name, email. I already have my email when I set up my website. This is my director. This is my information. I'm president. I'm not adding any more officers, and I'd hit continue and I'm done. But see, let me tell you why people screw this up. People do this first. They come to try to set up their entity right from the beginning. Then they're asked all this information and they don't have an address set up yet. They don't have a website set up. So their email address, all of this is wrong. So they have their personal email here. They have their personal address. Then they go get their phone number and then they go get their website and they get their, and then they forget. They never think about coming back and updating this. Then they go apply for credit or financing. Then the lender says, okay, let's verify this company is real. So the lender's computer comes in and does this. Boop, 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 A, B, C, D, water. Okay, are they real? Do they exist? And the Secretary of State says, oh, let's say, yeah, A, B, C, D, water. It is here, right? Okay, but then they say, oh, wait a second. This doesn't match. What is this? The mailing address here doesn't match the mailing address on the application. So is this even the same business? So that's what happens is their computers literally do this within milliseconds. Their computers do boom, Secretary of State check, boom, information match, red flag, information doesn't match. Home address is here, doesn't match application on address on application, red flag, potential fraud alert. Then it gets pushed to somebody to manually review. What do you think they're going to do? You think they're just going to verify what the computer did? They're not going to come and drill it down and spend an hour verifying that your company that's applying is the same one here. They're going to say, I don't want to lose my job, right? Like if I approve this when the computer said it was fraud and it's fraud, then I'm not working here at Bank of America anymore. So bam, denied. You get the denial and you go, man, I knew my credit was going to be a problem. I mean, legitimately, this is how it works. But it had nothing to do with your credit. It had to do with the fact that the address, a basic thing, the address on your Secretary of State did not match what you actually put on the application. That's why I do it this order. Is the name that I want available in the Secretary of State? Yeah, it is. Great. Can I get the domain? Yeah, I can. Great. Buy domain. Now I get my domain. Hey, while I'm here, I might as well set up my email address as well, right? Now I have a domain. Now I have info@abcdwater.com. Now I come in, I get my phone number set up. Now I set up my actual address at a place like Alliance for virtual offices. Now I set up my Secretary of State. And now all the info they're going to ask for, email, phone number, address, okay, I have, which by the way, I skipped a step. I got to know what industry I'm in. I got to clearly know from the beginning what industry I'm in. Now I come in, I set up my Secretary of State, I tell them my industry, I tell them everything. Now all this information matches what the business is going to have. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to irs.gov to get an EIN. I always want to go to irs.gov. If I go anywhere other than this, and if I just type in, hey, how do I get a free EIN? Let me show you what's going to happen. What's going to happen is these companies that will charge you for it all pop up, okay? And it's not free. In the end of the process, you get to the point where it's a charge. So if you don't want to do that, then make sure you only go to irs.gov right here. irs.gov is what matters. Okay, can you, what about GoDaddy Smartline? Okay, so I got some questions and I will get to these in a second. Okay, so we want to go to irs.gov. We go to IRS, and then if we can't find what we're looking for, okay, pay, refund, news. Okay, all I'm going to do is EIN. Boom, EIN. Okay, here we go. Employer identification numbers. Apply for EIN. Bam. I want to do that. I want to do everything you just said here. It's too much reading, though. I'm sorry. Okay, I want to begin my application. Thank you. Okay, I set up a corporation is what I set up. Okay, I want to actually be an S Corp. Now, when you start a business, I'm not an accountant. This isn't accounting advice. You want to go with corporation or LLC. I would choose S Corp if I'm just starting a brand new business. Now, the profit and loss will carry over to your personal taxes, but you don't have to pay personal taxes and corporate taxes. Now, eventually, you'll move to a C Corp. You just will as the business grows. But again, talk to an accountant. My only recommendation, I always start with S Corp. Okay, now I come in and say, yeah, I don't want to read all that. I'm going to start a new business. Is what I'm going to do. And then here we go. Here's my first name. Okay, and then I can't move through the steps here. Bubba Smith. Okay, and then here's you got to have an SSN. Now, a lot of people say this, say, hey, why do I have to supply this? I don't want to provide personal guarantees. You have to, because they have to verify your identity. They're not going to give you an EIN if you're not a citizen of the United States. You either have to have a TIN or an SSN, or they're not going to issue it because they don't issue it to people that aren't citizens. So you're going to have all this information that I'm the president, CEO. I can't walk you through this further than what I already have here, obviously, because I don't want to commit fraud by entering the wrong social, and I'm not going to do that. So I don't want to go to jail today. So here we go. But you're going to go through. Then guess what? There's the address. Well, we have that now, right? And we have all this done, and they're going to give me an EIN number. Now I'm going to go to my bank. I'm going to be able to take my Secretary of State documents I got here because I clicked that I want them right away. And I'm going to take my EIN number, and I'm going to go set up my bank account. And that's it. So now if we look at this, we've got the website. We've got the email address. We've got the phone number. We've got the EIN. We've got the entity set up in the Secretary of State. All the information's congruent. We know the right NAICS. In that process of setting up an EIN, they're going to ask what industry I'm in. And I'm going to say, hey, I'm in this industry. Here's my NAICS. It's very clean right from the beginning. Now I go to my bank and they say, what industry are you in? And I say, I'm in like heavy rail transportation, NAICS 4821, whatever that was. It's congruent. Now my business is set up. And here's what's interesting. Okay. My website is set up. My email address is set up. All my Secretary of State information is congruent. The address I'm going to use for the business, the phone number I'm going to use, the email, it's all congruent right from the beginning. The EIN number is established, all with the right congruent information. Now I go to my bank. It's all set up with the right congruent information. My address, my phone number, my NAICS, it's all the same. And I was smart enough to research and make sure my NAICS is low risk. And so now the banks, the IRS, everybody now knows right from the beginning that I'm a high-risk industry. So let's look at this. The credit bureaus get their information from Secretary of State. They're now going to know right away I'm a low-risk industry because I told the Secretary of State I was by giving them my specific NAICS. Okay, banks all share information openly through the Small Business Financial Exchange, SBFE. So Bank of America information I give them goes to Wells Fargo, to Chase, to everybody. Now all the banks have the correct industry information for me as well because I made sure that was done. The IRS now has the correct industry information for me as well. All the parties that lenders and credit issuers are going to look with all have the right congruent information, and it reflects them in a low-risk industry. That's the proper way to do it. If you haven't already set up the business and done it wrong, you got to go back and fix those things. And sometimes it's more time consuming to go back and fix it than it is to actually come in and just do it right from the beginning. That's why I'm telling you, this is a how to get business from a startup. So I want to make sure we get it done right from the beginning. Okay, so I want to answer some questions here real quick. Hello, Birmingham, Alabama. Thanks for coming in. Memphis and now I'm using a home address. Okay, but my address property is listed as commercial. Well, it's okay. If you are really seen as a commercial property, you're fine. But here's what happens. The government has a database, and these addresses clearly, they're either designated as commercial, they're designated as retail, they're designated as home, they're designated as mailbox. And lenders and credit issuers have technology within millisecond. The minute you enter the address and hit enter, they know which of those you are. So it's okay if you're commercial, but if you're residential, if your house is in a residential, classified as residential, it's okay. Just some lenders and credit issuers aren't going to approve you there. So some things to keep in mind. Hello, St. Augustine, Florida. Thanks for tuning in as well. Minnesota's in the house. Texas is in the house. We got everybody. Oh, we got look, New Mexico is in the house. Okay, is a commercial loan broker high risk? Yes, because you're in financial services. So commercial loan broker is high risk because you're in financial services, but you're also in education. So if I'm in that area, I might consider looking at education versus this, because the problem is that absolutely commercial loan brokerage is high risk and education isn't. So something to keep in mind, not telling you what to do, but if you're in a high risk NAICS, you're going to have an uphill battle sometimes to get capital. Okay, I actually have an iPostal address. I was able to get tier 1 vendors, and my Dun & Bradstreet experience score came in. Okay, so I love this. Okay, I love this. Tatiana, thank you so much for sharing this. And I want to point this out. Tatiana is correcting something, but a lot of people make a mistake here, and she's not making this mistake. She says, I have an iPostal address. I do too. Okay, I actually have 3 of them. Before I started the stream, I was in iPostal doing work for multiple entities that I own. But here's the deal: I'm not trying to get credit or financing for those, so I don't mind using iPostal, which is just a mailbox. Okay, it's just a mailbox. It's not an actual virtual office like Regis Alliance Dementias. It's a mailbox. It's the same as a PO Box UPIs. I use them, but I only use them on entities I'm not going to build credit for. I don't care about getting money for those entities anyways. So, but she says, hey, I'm using iPostal, but I was able to get tier 1 vendors. And my Dun & Bradstreet and experience scores came in. A lot of people right now say, hey, he's wrong. I got iPostal. I got all this success. I'm good. And you will. The way fundability works, some credit issuers will deny you for things and others won't. So a lot of people don't do fundability right. They go through, they start getting some approvals, and they go, Ty doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm fine. I'm getting approved. Then they start getting denied. Now they've already mentally assigned me being wrong and not even focused on the fact that the reason they're getting denied is their fundability is jacked up, like I said. And now they continue to get denied. Then they get some approvals. And then they're like, okay, I'm getting approved. Maybe it's fixing itself. Denied. This is why business credit building takes years. Because if you don't do these things, you will have some success. I promise you, you will have some success. But then you're going to start running into failures and not know why. And it's because the people that approved you didn't care about the stuff I'm telling you about. The ones that denied you did care about the stuff I'm telling you about. That's a big deal. Okay, so that's exactly what I want to point out today is you will get some approvals, but if you don't correct it, then what happens is ultimately you end up getting denied. So good morning, everybody. Michigan's in the house. What about GoDaddy Smart Line? That's a phone number that GoDaddy offers. That can work as well. Can you obtain a business loan for a startup? Absolutely, you can. You're going to be getting, this isn't the stream to teach you about loans, but I'll give you a 1-minute version breakdown. There's 3 C's that you use to get money: cash flow, credit, or collateral. When you're a startup, you don't have cash flow, which means you're only going to get money, loans, and credit lines based on having good credit from you or a guarantor, or by having some kind of collateral: stocks, bonds, 401ks, inventory, IRAs, equipment, commercial real estate, vehicles. So you're either going to have collateral or an asset, or you're going to have good credit or somebody else that does to get credit line or a loan as a startup, or you're going to need to rely on business credit. So hopefully that answers your question here. Okay, so good morning. Will the changes from home address to retail space show up in the changes for the original? They won't. If you change the address, you're going to have to update that address and change it everywhere, just so you all know that. What is the virtual office website? Our Solutions Alliance. You can go to creditsuite.com/virtual to get there. But the other ones I like are Regis, Alliance, and DaVinci. Those are the 3 best virtual offices that you really want to look at. And everybody, I appreciate Asha Sloan for bringing Desi into the stream. Thank you guys for sharing. It means a lot when we can help more entrepreneurs. I just came in. Please tell me you're going to post this. This will be posted. You're on YouTube. So if you're just coming in on YouTube, then you'll be able to access the playback of this on YouTube as soon as we wrap up. And I've got more people coming in and saying things. Miami, Louisiana. I'll get to all of you, but let me continue on with the training so we don't lose too much. If you can get a license, get a license. Here's why. A lot of lenders and credit issuers, like one of the ones I'm going to show you today, will approve you for a $2,500 credit line just because you have a license. So if you can get a license, get one. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is this. Look at this. If I go and go business license, let's say Pasco County, Florida. The first thing that comes up is a license I can get in my county right here. Business operating in Pasco, I can get business tax receipts is what it's called. Yeah, I want that thing. I want it. How do I get that? Business tax receipt application. Yeah, I want to do that. Give me that thing. It's a business license. So now here I am. Okay, I want to apply for a new account. Okay, and I'm going to come in and say, yeah. Oh, I have to read stuff. Okay, so then I'm going to read stuff. I'm going to answer the questions and go through the process. But it's going to basically give me a license. Is what it's going to give me. And it's very cheap. I mean, it's like $60. Now I have a license. And whenever I apply for a credit card or a loan, I submit the license into them. It just makes me look more legitimate, more credible. That's what they're searching for. So I want to give them as much credibility as I can. And then we want to keep all this information current as well. So options in the first 30 days. Now we're going to move on and we're going to move to what are called starter vendors. And vendors are basically anybody that issues you credit to buy stuff in their location. So a vendor is Uline. A vendor is Staples. A vendor is Amazon. A vendor is Apple. If I get an Apple credit card, I can buy stuff at Apple store with my Apple credit card. If I get a Best Buy credit card, I can buy stuff in Best Buy with my Best Buy credit card. Those are called vendors. But we've got to start with what are called starter vendors, because starter vendors do two very unique things. They'll give us credit when we have none on our business credit reports, and they report the credit to the business credit reporting agencies. Very hard to find these guys. They change all the time. They move between tiers. Sometimes they work for startups. Sometimes they don't. But right now, as of March, whatever today is, 23rd, 2022, these are three that we like a lot. So Uline, they sell shipping, packaging, industrial supplies. They report to D&B and Experian. They give you a net 30 account. A lot of information here. Let's unpack it. Net 30 means I got 30 days to pay them back. It's not a revolving credit card where I can spend $1,000 and pay a minimum payment of $25. It's a net 30. So if I spend $1,000, I got 30 days to pay back the $1,000. That's what a net 30 does. Now it's not revolving. We'll move up to revolving, but it still helps ease cash flow. Now I can get some stuff, launch some stuff, start getting money in the business, and have a delayed time I have to make the payment. So let me give you an example here. So one of my clients, the Samples, built a 7-figure business in the course of a year. And what they did was they used starter vendors in places like Uline and at the time Quill. Quill's not a good starter vendor now. And they got yard signs. And they used yard signs to be able to basically promote a live event, like a mini seminar. And then from the seminar, they brought people in and talked to them about tax relief, people that are in tax issues and how to get relief from that. Then they sold their services. And this is how they got their clients. So that's an example of somebody that started a business with very little to no money. Then they used vendor credit to buy stuff to start bringing money in, right? Hey, I'm going to promote my live event with flyers. They had flyers printed and handed them out. And then they had yard signs. They created a local seminar using these starter vendors. Then they made sales. Then they used the money to pay back the credit that they had. Now, you don't want to be irresponsible and start using credit, spending money you can't pay back. That's just dumb. You don't want to do that. But what I am saying is that you will actually be able to come in and be able to use this to buy stuff you need to use, then deploy what you're buying, and then start generating some revenue for the business. It's going to help you basically use this kind of credit to get the business off the ground. Second thing, Dun & Bradstreet and Experian. Very important. If you want to shortcut business credit building and expedite, you have to know something called payment experiences. A payment experience is the reporting of an account to a reporting agency. So Uline gives us 2 payment experiences because it reports to D&B 1, reports to Experian 2. So the more payment experiences I have, the more credit issuers will approve me, the higher my approval amounts are. So I want to get as many payment experiences as I can. So I always want to work with vendors that report to more than one reporting agency if I can. It helps expedite business credit building. So what are your requirements? Fundable foundation. We already talked about that. There's a lot to fundability. There's financials and credit. We didn't talk about any of that stuff today. Today, we just took up the foundation part of fundability, the address, the phone number, the EIN, and we talked about that. I'm not going to go through the list again. You need that stuff set up to get Uline. If you don't have it, they're going to require that you have prepaid orders. It's what slows down the process. I told you in the beginning, if you skip fundability, you're going to be on a 2 to 3 year process for something that could take 6 months. Here's why. If I go to Uline and my fundability is not set up right, then Uline's going to say, hey, we're not willing to give you credit right now. Why don't you place a couple orders first, and then we will within 30 to 90 days. Now, I just delayed my process by a month to 3 months because I didn't do fundability. If you don't do fundability, it will take you literally years longer to go through this thing. Okay, now we can buy office furniture, office supplies. We can get warehouse equipment. We can get all kinds of shipping supplies, PPE, retail setup, stuff that we need, we're able to get from Uline. Okay, it's a good source to be able to get us going. Okay, and Deep says, what's replacing Dun & Bradstreet number starting in April? The Dunn's number won't be replaced. So there might be an addition to that. I'm not exactly sure what you're referencing, but the Dunn's number is a 9-digit number used worldwide. And that number is never going to be replaced, but we may see some changes coming out. And we'll talk about that as we get a little bit closer to the end of the month. What should I put as consulting? I can't even begin to answer that question, guys. Everybody asks me, what NAICS should I choose? I can't tell you. I don't even know. I don't even know what you're doing. I don't even know what kind of consulting you're doing. So if you're doing, I don't know. You got to go to that NAICS list and you got to try to find the best that fits what you are, and then do that high risk search to make sure it's not high risk. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. There's 100 NAICS codes in transportation alone. There's no way that my brain is going to reserve enough space to memorize the hundreds, if not 1,000 plus NAICS codes. It's just not something that I would memorize. That's why I want you to make sure that you look it up. Am I able to change an NAICS? You are. You want to change it with the credit bureaus. You want to update your taxes and even go to your accountant and tell them that your industry changed and have them update your taxes as well. Those are the two places that you'd actually want to check those. Until it's time to move to coming in to make sure. Hello, Mobile, Alabama now. What's the best small business bank account? Great question. I did a live stream. If you go to youtube.com/credit suite and just look at bank account, I did a training on different bank accounts to set up. I don't have a personal preference. I like Regions because I like the service I get at Regions, and they're local to me. They're 5 minutes from me in downtown Tampa here. So I like them, but I choose them for those reasons. Chase, Bank of America, I don't notice a big difference between them. But if you look at my training on this, you'll find some interesting options you didn't know existed. Most people don't know that Lending Club has a really good checking account for business. Most people don't know that On Deck, who's a lender, has really good bank accounts for on business for businesses. So there's a lot of online options now as well. Check out that training. But I don't personally have a preference. I just use a bank where I get good service and it's quick to my location. Kimberly says, why is Quill not good? Because Quill will no longer give you credit when you have none. Remember, I said there's a reason starter vendors are starter vendors. They give you credit when they have none, and they report the credit to the reporting agencies. Well, in this case, the problem is Quill does not give you credit when you have none. They make you place prepaid orders now in order to use them. That's why we move them to like tier 3 or 4 now. We know they're no longer a tier 1 source for us. Uline wants you to make 5 purchases before they offer you a net 30. Yes, exactly. And a large part of this is because your fundability is not set up right. I can show you approval after approval after approval from a brand new startup business that just launched that has their fundability set up the right way I showed you, that gets approved for Uline all day, every day, without needing to make 5 purchases first. But this is the kind of stuff that will come up if your fundability is not set up the right way. And this is exactly what will make it more expensive and longer to be able to build business credit. King Z, thanks for coming in. Just ordered, okay, so Paulie says, I just ordered a $297 hand dolly truck and I was approved for a net 30, but I need to know how to rent it, how to rent the hand dolly truck. That I can't help you with. But what I can tell you is that there's actually a site I found on that before. And I don't know what it is, but I think I'm going to go to real quick to rent my stuff. I think whatever it was, this company that I found that does this stuff. I'm not gonna even go down this. This will send me down a rabbit hole. But there are places you can rent that kind of stuff. I don't know off the top of my head where to be able to guide you though. Is there any way to fix your business credit if you have one charge off? Yes, there is. Just dispute it. And if you go to youtube.com/credit suite and you look at fixed business credit, you'll find I have detailed training of where to go and exactly how to fix it. But depending on the bureau it's with, you want Dun & Bradstreet calls it their dashboard. So you can go to Dun & Bradstreet's dashboard and update your information, dispute it for free. If it's Experian or Equifax, you want to go to their credit monitoring. And if you go to their credit monitoring, then the credit monitoring will let you do it right through their credit monitoring platform. Just, I know there's a lot more questions and comments coming in. I will get to them all. Okay. I just want to make sure that everybody gets training in between the questions as well. So Brex, I like Brex. They report to D&B, one payment experience. They help build your business credit score. Okay. You can set up a cash account with them. It's basically like a service that's used to help you manage your money, keep up with your expenses. That's what Brex really is. Okay, so you can use for anything you need for your business, the actual cash account you set up with them, and business credit will grow quickly because you're using this account. They report to Dun & Bradstreet as well. So I like Brex. It's something simple, helps you manage your expenses. Every startup business could use it. They report to D&B, an easy trade line. They'll give anybody a trade line that's starting a business, especially if your fundability is set up the right way. Grainger, I love Grainger. They'll give you a $2,500 credit line just because you have a business license. They sell hardware, power tools, pumps, and more. They do fleet maintenance. They report to D&B. A lot of people come to me and say, I can't find something on Grainger that I want. I buy first aid kits. I buy batteries. That's the kind of stuff I buy from Grainger. Everybody needs batteries. Everybody needs first aid kits, especially if you have kids. Like I go through those things like growing out of style. So Grainger, you can find that kind of stuff that you can use. And let me bring up this point. A lot of people say, hey, I can't find starter vendors that have all the stuff that I want to be able to access and use. Well, I get that because not a lot of starter vendors. It's the smallest tier of available options out there. Sometimes you got to be creative and get stuff you wouldn't necessarily buy or don't necessarily need, but you're really getting the trade line. You need the trade line. We need 5 of these guys to move on to retail credit, to Amazon, to Walmart, to the stuff we really want. So come on, I mean, get batteries. Seriously, get a first aid kit. Be done with it. So that's sometimes what you got to do. I might go to you and go, hey, Ty, I like your idea. I'm going to get flyers printed. I'm going to get yard signs. I'm going to get this stuff. And then I go to Brex and I like your idea, Ty. I'm going to get the Brex account to be able to set up and manage my actual expenses. But Ty, I don't find anything I want at Grainger. Who cares? Buy batteries, buy a first aid kit, be done with it. Get a free trade line out of it that's going to get you an Amazon account next month. So think about that. Sometimes you got to buy some stuff you wouldn't necessarily get, but it's worth it to get the trade line. They're going to have standard fundability requirements. And they're going to want you to be registered with the Secretary of State for at least 60 days. That's why you need to set up that entity as quickly as you can. Construction supplies, cleaning supplies, tools, all those kind of things. So now, once you've done these things and you got 5 of these payment experiences, now you know what payment experience is. Once you have 5 payment experiences, now I want to start moving on to retail. And surprisingly, Amazon's one of the easiest retail accounts to get. A lot of our clients get 10 to 30,000 with Amazon 30 days after what I just showed you because those items report. Another question. People say, how long does it take to build business credit? The only thing you have to think about with building business credit, the only time restriction per se, is how long it takes accounts to report. So if you do an account, I hope I'm not losing my voice because I have a challenge after this for like 2.5 hours. So if you get an account with Amazon, then you're able to build credit with Dun & Bradstreet and Equifax. You're able to get 2 payment experiences as well. And the only time that restricts how long it takes you to get to Amazon is how long it takes for those initial vendors to report. So if you want to hack to build it faster, get more than 5 payment experiences in the first step. That way, if like some of them don't report for 60 or 90 days, some of them will report in 30, and you have a faster chance of getting your 5 payment experiences. So once you have 5, you can get to Amazon, D&B. Equifax is a great account to be able to get with the Amazon and get 2 payment experiences, and then just continue to get credit after that. Continue to improve the fund, continue to use the credit, continue to get credit for anything that you are. Like if I'm going to manage my expenses, I get a Brex account. If I'm going to get a loan, I hope I'm going to ask them if they report to the reporting agencies. So I'm getting credit that continues to report. And from that point, you just continue getting the credit you actually need. Here, I'll show you exactly what this looks like. So if I go here and log in real quick here to my business finance suite, then what happens is I'm able to come in here to continue building the process. And, you know, this is why our clients pay us for the faster process. If I go here to build business credit, then you can see we already did fundability. I skipped a step here because I didn't have enough time to get into all of it. But I'm also going to get my DUNS number with Dun & Bradstreet, get set up with the reporting agencies. Then I'm going to get that starter business credit building right here. I showed you that, the tier 1. Then I'm going to move on to tier 2 here once those accounts start to report. And I'm just going to continue to get the credit that I need to grow the business. Okay, so if I need Office Depot, I'm going to get Office Depot. If I want Quill, we have Quill in step 2 now. I can get Quill. Now, our system will tell you if you qualify or not based on how many trade lines you have reporting on your credit reports. And then we list the underwriting requirements for every single source. We have a data team that works with underwriters, so you know to only apply for accounts you're going to get. So we list all the underwriting requirements. So then that one right there is this is a great way to be able to come in and be able to know exactly what it takes to qualify. And then you continue to build business credit, right? You go through the tiers and you get all the way to tier 4. You get auto financing, you get Visa cards without personal guarantees and credit checks. All of this becomes available when I have about 14 accounts on my business credit reports. And besides 14 accounts on my business credit reports, then I also am able to come in here And I'm also able to have a $10,000 high account. One account has to have a $10,000 high. I need 14 accounts reported on my business credit reports. And with that, I'm able to start getting all different kinds of credit, all different kinds of financing. I'm able to get credit cards. I'm able to get Visa cards, MasterCards, auto financing. I'm able to get credit at places like Apple and Wells Fargo and John Deere and on and on and on. I mean, it's just nearly endless. And keep in mind, every one of these, we list the underwriting requirements, so our clients are only ever applying for what they actually know they're going to get approved for. So it just continues. So remember, business credit, all this you can get as a startup. You don't need cash flow. You don't need credit. You don't need collateral to get it. You got to follow a very set series of steps, and I really outline those steps for you in detail. Next time, we're going to talk about getting business loans with bad credit, so tune in for that tomorrow. If you ever need help getting financing, let us know. And also, don't forget, this is 100% free right now, and it's going on right now as we speak. All you have to do is go to businessloanbrokerchallenge.com, register for free. We go live at 1 o'clock to 3:30 every day this week. You can go back to the first days and look at the recordings of those days. This is the biggest and best training that the business brokerage industry has ever seen, and it's 100% free. We brought in the industry experts today. We have two of the leading trainer educators in the business loan broker space that literally both charge thousands of dollars for their training, coming on and teaching our clients for free, or our audience for free. So it's 100% free. If you're interested in offering business credit or financing as a service, go to businessloanbrokerchallenge.com. It's fantastic. You're going to love that. And then if we can help you with getting credit and financing, go get with us. We can give you a free business credit consultation where we'll go over all of this with you. I've got a bunch of questions I want to make sure that I can get to. How do I up my NAICS? We talked about updating the NAICS. How you update it is this. You go any place that has it and you change it. So more than likely by now, you need to update it with your Secretary of State, your bank. You need to update it with the IRS, which you can do on irs.gov, or you can also do it with your accountant as you file taxes, and you want to do it with your credit bureaus. If you're doing that, you're updating it with your bank, you're updating it with the credit bureaus, you're updating it with the IRS as well, then that's going to go a long way to being able to help you basically have it updated in the credit bureaus everywhere that it needs to be updated. I got Quill, but not Uline. This is it. This is what happens with fundability. And the reason for this, and the reason some sources are approved and not, I'm out of time to go over this with you today, is because if I look at fundability requirements, they're different for Uline and Quill. So you might get approved for one because you got your fundability in line and not the other. And that's usually because of a fundability restriction. That will typically fix that. Okay. And I will be purchasing the VIP Ultimate with you guys. Hey, should I use my company's initials or create a DBA? I love what you do. This is my passion. That's awesome. I look forward to working with you. You mean when you get started with us, it doesn't matter. But I don't think I understand what you're asking here, but it could go either way. And what I mean by that is that you want to use your company's name, the same name everywhere you are. With us, it doesn't make a difference. You do want to start entering the information, because we're going to help you get it done the right way. But outside of that, if you're going to choose a DBA, then choose a DBA, but the business name you put everywhere out there needs to include your DBA. So I hope that answers your question, but I'm still a little unclear what you're asking, so I'm not sure if that does or not. Okay, and let me see. Okay, thank you for your response to my question. Yep, I had a Brex cash account, but I have no activity on the account, and they closed it about 3 weeks ago. That's a good point. You should always keep some kind of activity. The credit bureaus won't count something that's past 12 months of being used, so I recommend you use everything within 3 to 6 months if you want it to continue to report. What about office supplies? Quill can help you with, Uline can help you with some of that stuff. But office supplies, you're usually going to have to get your starter vendors first. Then you can go to Amazon, Staples, Office Depot after those initial vendors are reporting, and Quill. But there's really no good office. Well, you can try Crown Office Supplies. But Crown Office Supplies, we've had some real issues seeing them actually report in a timely fashion. So we don't recommend them a lot now. And I'm telling you that up front. You might have issues with Crown Office Supplies reporting. They are decent as a starter vendor, but they just have issues reporting. But you'll run into a lot of sources that offer office supplies who do report in the next tier when you move on to the next step. Okay, so there are services that claim they're able to build your business and make you fundable for like $100K in as little as 2 or 3 weeks. You know what they're able to do? Look, I see a lot of places out there that basically say they're going to set up your business, they're going to add trade lines to your account, and then they're promising you're going to go out and get a credit line for $100,000. Okay, for this example. And I can tell you this much. I've never met anybody in my 20 years in financial services, never met one person who actually got this result. Never anybody. I know a lot of people that paid those company and did not get the result that they were promised, but I've never met one that did. And I've never found one of these companies give me a verifiable referral that of somebody that did either. So I've had these guys come to me and say, hey, we can build a credit profile in 2 weeks and we can add trade lines and do the fundability and get your people $100,000 credit. I'm like, that sounds awesome. I love that. Give me the name of 3 people you did that for that I can verify their social media profiles, they're real people, and I can actually talk to them about it. Okay, you got it. Never hear from them again. And then I reach out to them again and say, hey, I'm looking for those 3 referrals. I'm really looking forward to sending you thousands of clients. They never send anybody over. So the bottom line is that if it's too good to be true, it typically is. And that's exactly what I found out there is that this isn't practical. The reality is that the idea that they're selling you on is that they're going to create a credit profile score, add all these fake trade lines, and then somehow, they're smarter than Bank of America. Bank of America is not going to know what happened, and then Bank of America is going to approve you. It just doesn't work that way. The reality is the credit bureaus see what you're doing. They know what you're doing when you do this, and it actually inhibits your ability to get credit financing. It doesn't help. Okay, it's NAV a trade line. NAV has a tier where if you get it, they do report to the reporting agency, so that can count as a trade line. Sorry, probably answered the question earlier. What's the difference between trade lines and credit lines? Well, there's a big difference. A credit line is like a line of credit, right? It's like a credit card that doesn't have a high APR to take cash out of. It's a line of credit. So I can get a credit line for $100,000 and go spend the $100,000 however I want. A trade line is the reporting of an account on the business credit reports. So if I get an account with Staples and Staples reports on the business credit reports, that's a trade line. Now, if I get a credit line for $100,000 from my bank, that's a credit line. So hopefully that answers that question for you. I got Granger and made a purchase. Do I need to keep making purchases? You should make a purchase every 12 months for the credit bureaus. We recommend for our clients every 6 months. If you want it to continue to count to help you build business credit, then use it every 6 months. Okay. And King Z says, what if you're at level tier? Would you have to start over? I joined the program. You don't have to start over. With us, you just skip ahead to tier 2. Our team will, I think you're asking about working with us, our team would go backwards and make sure that everything was set up the right way for you to make sure that you're going to have a lot of success. And I didn't let me register late. If you're talking about the businessloanbrokerchallenge.com, you should be able to challenge without any kind of issue there. Yes, it's the best and mind-blowing. Register and sign up. Here's feedback from somebody that's in the Business Loan Broker Challenge. So I appreciate that shout out. How much operating capital required? It depends. I don't even know what you're asking, but it really depends on what you're trying to launch. If you're trying to launch a business, you really should sit down and think about everything you're going to need to spend money on and map it out. I found that you can launch a business itself for less than $500, setting up the entity, getting the website, hosting the website, having the website built, all those kind of things. But Florida or in California, it's like $700 to set up your entity. So it's obviously different per state, but I find that it's less than $500 to set up a business. How much capital you need to start the business depends on the business. You really want to break that down as best as you can. King C is not able to find the Business Loan Broker Challenge online. Okay, so we put many different links into it here. It's businessloanbrokerchallenge.com. If I just simply go to businessloanbrokerchallenge.com, then you're going to go right to the registration page. Businessloanbrokerchallenge.com. It's also been dropped multiple times into the comments here in the stream. All you have to do is just click on one of those links. Is there a replay of this live presentation? Yes, George, there is. You're on Facebook. If you go to facebook.com/credit suite, you'll get a playback of the actual presentation. Maverick, we don't recommend as a starter vendor. A lot of our clients have had a hard time getting approved and getting a report, but they do work for some sources. Tressy says the DUNS number is changing to some ID. Sam's number is the DUNS number process now obsolete. The DUNS number process is not obsolete. They may update the name of it, and we're waiting to see what they're going to finally do. And I'll have a report for you in about a week on that. But the DUNS number will always be the DUNS number. It's used worldwide. It's a pretty complicated thing to be able to change. Business Loan Broker Challenge webpage is not up at the moment. I'm not sure exactly where you say that, King. I just literally pulled that up. So I'm not exactly sure what you're referencing. I think we just went through that. Okay, let me see. Yep, there's a guy called Raise Credit. He seems very hyped. Yeah. And guys, I mean, look, it's that simple. If something looks to be too good to be true, it typically is. And I'm here just to lay it out. I'll tell you the reality. It's a real time frame of doing everything. We've helped 50,000 people through this. But if people are like, hey, buy trade line, just think of it like this. You're not going to fool the big banks and credit issuers and the bureaus. They have billions of dollars. They know what you're doing. Their whole job is to prevent you from doing what you're trying to do, which is defraud them, basically. So it's not worth it. If you want more insight on that, go to youtube.com/credit suite and type in Shelf Corporation or type in buying trade lines. You'll get my training on that. And my training isn't my opinion. It gives you Federal Trade Commission quotes, FTC quotes. It gives you FBI quotes. It gives you quotes from the credit bureaus. It gives you quotes from lenders, quotes from credit card issuers. You can see what they all think about this process of buying trade lines and how they handle it. So it's not from me. I give you quotes from all the authorities that you're going to want to know about, because you're going to see in that training that they know exactly what it is that you're doing. In case these are not my experience, I have a business services vendor that has zero balance and no high. Is that still a good trade line to have? If it's got a no high balance, that means you haven't used it in the last 12 months. It's only going to help you if you use it within the next 12 months. Can you start off as a loan broker straight after the challenge from scratch without any capital or collateral and get funding to do the program? Okay, so the businessloanbrokerchallenge.com will teach you how to basically start and grow the business. And also, to launch any business with zero capital is almost impossible. Like, you have to have $500 or $1,000 or whatever, and it depends on where you're getting your customers from. I can launch a new business for less than $500. Get the website, get the entity, get all that stuff set up, right? But in order to start making money, I have to get customers. So that's exactly what we talked about yesterday, was how to build sales funnels, you can, it just depends on where you're going to get customers. So yeah, you can launch a business with little money. And we're also talking a lot during the challenge, and we also have a lot of training online on other places to get funding to get your start off on the ground. And you can use business credit that we talked about today to be able to get the capital you need as well. So don't forget, you're entitled to a free consultation. Give us a call for it. It's a finance assessment. And on the finance assessment, we do a fundability check. We tell you what to fix with fundability. We help you with tips and tactics to build business credit, or help you get your business credit reports for free and go over them with you if they're established already. And we'll do a financing assessment. We'll tell you all the funding you can get right now. You might not even think you can qualify. We'll go through that. It's 100% free. All you have to do is give us a call, 877-600-2487 or info@creditsuite.com, and get that free finance assessment. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thanks for tuning in. I hope to see a lot of you at the Business Loan Broker Challenge that will take place at 1 o'clock Eastern here today, March 23rd, 2022. And you can get that at businessloanbrokerchallenge.com. And don't forget to give us a call for your free finance assessment. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value from this. Take care. Have a great day.